We're still a few months away from the start of the 2021 NFL season, so it's way too early to draft a fantasy football team, right? Wrong. Best ball drafts have been going on since the offseason began, and we're going to show you how to build a winning roster. We're going to show you our own best ball draft board done on drafters.com, show you how to win and how to build an effective best ball team. If you don't know, best ball drafts are where you build your best team draft only. Set it and forget it. No lineups, no waivers, just quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end. If you want to try your hand at best ball for as little as $1 per draft, go to Drafters and you can try by clicking on the referral link in the description below. Drafters will match your first deposit up to 50%. That's right, 50% additional bonus just for signing up if you use that link down below. All right, let's kick things off and start by looking at our draft. So Chris, I know we've been in a bunch of best ball drafts this year so far already. NFL draft hasn't even gone down, so obviously a lot of things are going to shift and change once that takes place. But we're in this draft together. I was lucky enough to pull the number 1 pick. No question. We already know I got Christian McCaffrey. And then you landed the number 5 pick?
Yep, I got the number 5 pick. You got the number 1 pick, so lucky you. And I know you gave me some grief for this pick, but I took Alvin Kamara at the 5 simply because at that spot, Saquon Barkley was gone. You know, although I do think Zeke should be the number 5 pick, he doesn't need to be that pick in best ball. I've gotten Zeke as late as 12th in my best ball draft, so there's no reason to reach for Zeke there. I took Alvin Kamara, even though I know there is some risk there at 5. And then on the way back at the 2-8, I did something I don't think I've ever done in any of my other best ball drafts, and I took Antonio Gibson at the 2-8, which is weird for me because normally I would have taken DK Metcalf there. I'm not sure what was going on. Maybe I wanted to let you have DK Metcalf or something, but I started running back, which I rarely do in my best ball drafts, especially in the 5th position, but I did, and I took Antonio Gibson. So at least I started off with 2 solid running backs in my draft.
Hello, we've been talking about this all throughout the preseason. Of course, we do mock drafts for redraft leagues every Tuesday, Thursday. A lot of you already know and have joined us. If you haven't already, jump on in. We're going to do this all off season, but that's just for redraft leagues. And we talk about the need, or is there a need to draft a running back? If you don't grab one of those top running backs in the first 2 rounds, you're going to have slim pickings after that because everyone else is drafting running back. Now, that doesn't mean you have to do it, but you have to make a choice. Do you go with 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds? Maybe the first 2 rounds? Some people are even going a 3 running back start. I'm not really doing that too much. Chris, I know you're not doing that, but you really have to decide what's left. So I kind of felt the same way. I felt like I almost had to grab that second running back on the way back at the turn. And I did get James Robinson, whose stock has kind of gone up since they didn't add anybody of consequence. Carlos Hyde does not count in free agency. And then, of course, I had to get my boy DK. You know, I think he could be the number 1 fantasy receiver this year. So I felt pretty good in my 2 running backs and a top 5 wide receiver.
Yeah, definitely. Like James Robinson in the 3rd. And then my pick in the 3rd round, I love this pick. That was A.J. Brown. He's starting to creep up draft boards going in the late 2nd. So I feel like this was very good value for him. It was a no-brainer pick for me. And then on the way back in the 4th round, I again did something I don't normally do, and I took DJ Moore. Normally right there, I'm taking Deontay Johnson, and I don't know why I took DJ Moore. Not that I'm low on DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore could have a great year, obviously without Curtis Samuel there, but it's just not something I normally do. Not the worst pick. I definitely think DJ Moore has a ton of upside. I do think Carolina is going to upgrade that quarterback position, so not what I normally do, but it's DJ Moore. It is what it is. Still liking my team so far.
Yeah, you can't complain. I mean, you got really good players at good spots. I think I'm a little higher on DJ Moore than you are heading into this year. But it's funny because my next 2 picks then, I already had my 2 running backs. I know I can wait for a 3rd guy. So I decided if I already missed on those first couple of tight ends, I'm going to stock up a receiver. And I got 2 of your favorite players. The guy you usually get, Deontay Johnson. I landed him, and then I paired him with your other favorite undervalued receiver, and that's Courtland Sutton. So my roster is starting to look a lot like a Chris team. And I think that's what happens when we are in so many drafts together, right? Just those things just kind of rub off on each other. But I feel pretty good with 3 guys that could be top 20 receivers and 2 potentially top 10 running backs. But of course, it's a lot easier when you start with the number 1 pick.
No, absolutely. And like I said, I don't know why I took Deontay Johnson or DJ Moore over Deontay Johnson. Love that pick. And you know how everybody knows how I feel about Cortland Sutton if they've watched any of our videos. And then I got another guy here in the 5th round that I've been drafting a lot of, especially when I don't get Deontay Johnson, and that's Chase Claypool, because even with Juju coming back, we saw last year, he has tons of weekly upside, and that's what you're looking for in these best ball drafts, because again, you don't have to do any in-season moves. You don't have to make waiver moves. You don't have to set your lineup. The computer does all that for you. So you're just looking for guys with tons of upside, and we know Chase Claypool has that. And then on the way back, I got DJ Moore's teammate, and that's Robbie Anderson, which I actually kind of do like this strategy of stacking wide receivers on the same team. So sometimes I will stack Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool. Sometimes I'll stack Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. In this case, I stack DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson, which again, you're looking for that upside. And you know one of these guys is probably going to have a big week on any given week. So you pretty much locked in a big week every single week from one of these guys, and they both can have a big week on the same week. So Robbie Anderson in the 6 felt like good value at that point.
Yeah, and I think he's still a good value. You know, his ADP is slowly climbing upwards, especially now with Curtis Samuel gone. I think everyone's seeing the big picture that both Moore and Anderson are going to get more targets. But the question is from who? Because it's obvious Carolina wants to upgrade at quarterback. Might not be Teddy Bridgewater. It could be a rookie at quarterback. We still don't know. But either way, I don't think that they're due for a downtick in production. If anything, it should be going up. So speaking of teams with new quarterbacks, it seems pretty obvious 49ers want a new guy at quarterback since they traded up to get the number 3 pick. Always risky when you talk about a rookie maybe playing in his first season. Of course, it could turn out great like Justin Herbert, or it could turn out not so good with some quarterbacks we've seen in recent times. But either way, I still love Debo. He's my boy. I'm not backing down from that. And I'm getting him as a 4th receiver. Happy to do it. That was my 7th round pick. And then in 6th round, I got a guy that, again, you've been drafting a ton of, but I kind of wish now that I would have taken the guy that you took on your next pick, because Ronald Jones looked like a great pick until Leonard Fournette re-signed with the Bucs. So I don't think it's a bad choice there, but again, that pick just looked a lot better when it was actually made.
Yeah, that's another thing we should add here is that these drafts are slow drafts, 8-hour clocks. A lot of these drafts last, a week or two. So sometimes you make a pick, it's your 6th round pick, but it was a week ago. So I like you, I was drafting a lot of Ronald Jones early, but with the Leonard Fournette re-signing, I'm off him now. So I was definitely happy to get Raheem Mostert here as my RB3. He survived free agency. Tevin Coleman's gone. Jerick McKinnon's gone. It's just really Mostert and Jeffrey Wilson. Now, obviously, San Francisco could do something in the draft, and that would kill Mostert's value. But as of right now, he looks like the starter there. So I felt really good about him as my RB3. And then you know how I feel about this guy, and that's Noah Fant as my tight end 1 in the 8th round. To me, I think this is the Noah Fant year. He's going to have that monster 3rd-year breakout. He's going to enter the realm of the elite tight ends. So anytime I'm around the 8th, 9th round and Noah Fant is there, I'm grabbing him, and I grab him here.
Yeah, and you preemptively sniped me on Fant right there. I was hoping he would come back to me, but of course, you drafting ahead of me, I figured he wouldn't. So then I was forced to pivot and go the next tight ends on my rankings. And I say tight ends because I took 2 back-to-back. I'm not usually going to do that, but at this point, I had missed out on my top 5 or 6 tight end targets. And I felt like doubling up in best ball was okay because you can't stream tight ends in best ball, right? You can't count on waivers and matchups. So I felt like it was a strong pairing with Dallas Goedert, who should be the man in Philly. And then Irv Smith is going to be a riser. And you'll see the fact that Kyle Rudolph is gone. Smith kind of came on at the last portion of the season. And I felt like it was pretty good to get both those guys and not have to worry about tight end then basically the rest of the draft. So I felt good enough with my wide receiver depth and my top 3 running backs. Those were the best guys on the board to me.
Yeah, and in these best ball drafts, I'm typically drafting 3 tight ends. If I don't get one of the early guys like Kelsey, Kittle, or Waller, and even then I'm drafting 3, I'll just wait longer because, like you said, you can't stream, you can't make waiver moves. You want to make sure that you have, multiple chances at a good tight end week. So I don't hate that at all. And then I kind of did the same thing you did, but I did it for quarterbacks. So with my 9th and 10th picks, I went back-to-back quarterbacks, started with Matthew Stafford, who I'm really high on this year. I love getting them at this point, especially although I didn't draft Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods in this draft, but a lot of times I do. So I love pairing them with those guys. And then I grabbed Ryan Tannehill in the 10th, who I can pair with A.J. Brown, which is really good to have that stack. And Tannehill is a great best ball quarterback because, we've seen it the last couple of years since he went to Tennessee. He's got a ton of weekly upside. So I felt really good about my 2 quarterbacks at this point as far as upside goes each and every week.
And I love that strategy. Every time in best ball, you get 2 quarterbacks. You don't have to have one of the top guys, according to rankings at least, and you don't have to wait super long, try to grab a sleeper. You get 2 kind of mid-range, mid-tier guys. One that's a little more volatile, can have you those big boom weeks like Stafford due to volume, and then someone who's kind of a safe, high floor guy. And that's exactly what you did. So I love that strategy. I have a tendency sometimes to wait a little too long on quarterback just because everyone else strikes before I do. So once I saw the writing on the wall, you grabbed some quarterbacks, everyone else was starting to get theirs. So I finally settled on Matt Ryan, kind of reliable starter that I know I don't have to worry about. He could have some boom games, like you said, with that defense being what it is, he can put up 300 yards in a given week, especially if Julio's actually healthy. And then later on, I'll get my other quarterback who can pair up with him nicely. So that's kind of how we both start out our rosters there. We kind of fill out position by position, but it's all about value depending on where you're drafting. And of course, the sooner the better. Typically, you're going to get a lot more to choose from. But roster construction it's very unique in best ball compared to redraft. And that's one of the things that appeals to me about it.
Yeah, definitely. And going back to your Matt Ryan pick really quick, I love that pick. I've been drafting a lot of Matt Ryan. I think he's being slept on. This is a guy who was the MVP. He's put up top 5 fantasy seasons. And look, Arthur Smith, who helped Ryan Tannehill rebound in Tennessee, is coming to Atlanta now. I think that's going to be great for Matt Ryan and this offense. So I love that pick. And yeah, if you guys want to see the rest of the draft board, we'll have a link to that in the description so you can see the entire draft board.
There you go. We're going to be doing a lot more best ball drafts on Drafters this whole off season, and especially once the NFL draft has taken place and we know where these rookies land, you're going to see a whole different story as far as ADP goes. So follow us all off season long. Hit that subscribe button. Check it out and try out some best ball drafts for yourself, and you'll see it's quickly going to become your new favorite way to draft. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.